Oh, that looks cool. You look cool, Coach. You look cool.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you as well. What are you doing? Are you on the road recruiting again? What's life bringing Bill Belichick on this particular Monday, Coach?
We can't recruit for these 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are dead days during the NFL or the AFCA convention. So no recruiting, but out taking care of some other stuff.
Okay, so the AFCA, the American Football Conference of America, I assume. Is that what that's called?
Coaches Association. Yeah, American Football Coaches Association.
Close.
Yeah,
there it is.
Okay. I remember the Fired Football Coaches Association. Gruden was always watching film. The American Football Coaches Association is clearly what Gruden was mocking during that entire thing. Okay, it's all coming together. Maybe get that guy back in the league for more reasons than not. Let's talk about you down to UNC. How do you feel about where the team is? And are you watching these college football playoffs and trying to see how you can build a team that can compete and beat these squads? Orange Bowl was awesome. Cotton Bowl, electrifying. 4 best teams on display. Are you watching and judging, or how are you treating all this for college ball right now?
Yeah, well, I've watched the college games, kind of as a fan from the outside, but we'll take a closer look at them and break them down when we get to the film and get into the all-season program. Most of my focus now is on recruiting at North Carolina. January is the 1 month when the head coaches in college can be on the road. And so I'll be out on the road most every day in January to do that. Other than these 3 days here that are days we can't be recruiting.
Okay, so you're just casually watching the games,
trying to get things organized. Yep.
Okay, how do you feel about putting a staff together? Because now you're competing with Vrabel for guys. Have you heard the news? I know you've been on the road here in January. I know you've been recruiting, trying to put everything together. Mike Vrabel is now the head coach of the New England Patriots. That was announced officially. How do you feel about the move, and what are your thoughts on Mike Vrabel since he has become a coach after leaving as a New England Patriot, a multiple-time Super Bowl champion?
Yeah, I think Mike's done a great job. Certainly, his entry into coaching was no surprise to any of us that knew him and coached him at New England. I talked to him when he was at Ohio State, and then when he went to the Texans, and then of course at Tennessee, and we practiced against them, and stayed in pretty close contact with Mike. So I have a ton of respect for Mike. I think he does a great job. He's prepares his teams well. They're very good in situational football. They're tough. They're competitive. They're smart, just like he was as a player. I think the teams that he's coached and the position he's coached follow very much in his playing style and his preparation style. So, I love Mike. I love everything that he stands for as a football coach, and I have a lot of respect for him. I'm sure he'll do a great job.
There's the clip running around of whenever he ran those delay of games. With more than 5 minutes left in the clock, he kind of pulled a Belichick to you. And I think that was the moment that I think the whole world was like, oh, we get not just a meathead who loves a little nicotine. This is also a football genius. Do you remember that moment? And what are your first thoughts when you think back on it?
Yeah, I remember the moment. And the way the play was explained to us prior to that by the league office was a little bit different than the way that I thought it was officiated. I understood the rule. We did the same thing earlier that year, but it was kind of between myself, and what my understanding was from the officials on the way that was going to go. What he did was completely within the rules. As I said, it's something we had done. But that's Mike. Mike does a great job. He changed the game. When in the Colts on Vanderjagt's miss in the opening, start of the season opening game when he called the second time out. And Vanderjagt missed, and then Polian and the competition committee changed the rule the next week. So Mike's always been one to take advantage of those situations. He's a heady, smart player and coach.
I think so too, and we're all happy that rule was instituted. We don't have time just to be calling timeout 3 consecutive plays. Nonetheless, love the way Vrabel operates. Taylor Lewan, he put out a video basically as a heads up to all the Patriots players on what life is about to be like with Vrabel. And in there he mentioned, hey, you need to know Obviously, the three keys are the keys to the defense, offense, and special teams. Does not matter what side of the ball you're on. You need to know the janitor's name, okay? Because in team meetings, he's going to pop somebody up there and he's going to put your ass on the spot to know everything that's going on. He said, your life's going to suck, okay, boys? It's going to suck for a while, but you are going to be better because of it in the end. Is that similar to how you ran? And why are those little things you think so important to running a successful operation, Coach?
Well, I certainly think it's important to know the people that are in your organization, whoever they are, not just your teammates, but the other people who support you. Um, and just to know the history of the franchise or the team, whatever it is. But that just makes communication and respect for each other flow much more smoothly. But again, we've always been big on preparation. Mike did that as a player. I'm sure he'll continue to institute that as a coach. And that's part of the player's job, is to be prepared for the opponent, but also to know everything that you do internally so that you can take advantage of all the opportunities that you have on your team with your teammates, your playbook, and so forth.
I can't wait to watch. I think we all just assume that the Patriots are about to be all the way back in. Of course they are. AJ has a question for you.
Coach, I'm sure you've been watching, obviously, the NFL playoffs and everything that's been going on this past weekend. We've heard people talk about, hey, just don't beat yourself. Let's not do things to lose this game. Do you see that playing out when you watch this first round of the playoffs?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a couple of these teams, got to feel terrible today. Green Bay. I mean, they fumble the opening kickoff, spot the Eagles 7 points. I mean, that's really hard to do on the road against a team like Philadelphia. Then miss a field goal, which that's been a problem for them all year. That showed up. Tampa, they fumble a handoff on a jet sweep action play. That didn't really have anything to do with the defense. Then they fumble another short yardage play and screw up the handoff and get stopped and get held to a field goal. That didn't really have anything to do with Washington's defense. It was just bad football. And those are the kind of plays you look back on when your season ends that you say, well, we really messed those up. Pittsburgh, trying to get their guys on the field on a 4th and 1, end up with, struggling to get lined up on a short yardage play and, give up a conversion to Baltimore on that. Those kind of plays where you feel like you beat yourself and, they're just really hard to overcome when your season ends that way. So I think the number one thing is, as you said, is to make sure that, you're doing everything that you're doing right, and that you execute what you can execute, and make sure that you don't just, hand the game away on something that isn't a great play by the opponent. It's just more of your inefficiency or just, screwing something up.
Feels like that's the difference between great and good, and ball always has been, always will be, especially in the NFL with the amount of parity. The team that does to win it. Now, speaking of those, there's multiple things that popped up in college football with the bye week. Connor has a question for you.
Yeah, Coach, obviously the college bye weeks did not bode well for the teams on the bye, but for the NFL, the Chiefs and the Lions, what are their weeks like this past week and now, leading into game week? Are they watching all the games? Are they watching the potential teams they're going to play? And are the coaches, like, is Andy Reid and Ben Johnson, obviously Ben had interviews, but is Andy Reid drawing up a bunch of new plays, or what are those bye weeks like for the one seeds?
Well, look, it's great to be a 1 seed, and congratulations to Kansas City and Detroit for winning the playoff game last week, because that's effectively what happened. They move on to the next round without even having to play, and that's a great situation. Mm-hmm. But I'll say this: when you're the number 1 seed, like those two teams were, you have the least amount of predictability on who you're going to play. So if any of the wild card teams win, you could play them, whoever the lowest seed is. If all the wild card teams lose, then you play the lowest division seed, right? So you could end up playing the 4, 5, 6, or 7 seed based on how the weekend comes out. And so I'd say from that standpoint, there's less predictability on who you're going to play when you're the number 1 seed than when you're at other positions. Certainly, when you're at the bottom, if you win, you pretty much know how those games are going to match up going forward. But I think it was interesting when you looked at the Eagles game, the Philadelphia game against Green Bay. You saw the Eagles run 3 or 4 plays offensively that were really, I would say, playoff plays. They faked the tush push, tried to launch a post down the field and hit a big play on 3rd and inches. They ran a couple of deceptive plays, quarterback runs with Hurts, off of action to Barkley, knowing that the defense will be keying heavily on Barkley, at this point in the season. So I think that Detroit and Kansas City probably would be working on a couple of plays that they've probably been working on all year, but now saying, okay, here we are coming down to critical games. What plays can we maybe use that are a little bit different, a little bit of a deceptive? Maybe it's a new blitz from Aaron Glenn or Spags that they've kind of cooked up. Maybe some look that they've been given, and now they can give that same look and run some type of different pressure on it. Or maybe it's a punt rush or fake kick, something like that. I think those kind of plays could come into the into the action here for those teams because they do have a little bit of time to work on them. And honestly, those are the kind of things that keep your players interested too. You do something that's a little special, a little bit different. Another handoff to Sewell or whatever it is, and keeps the practice energy up a little bit.
Hey, how come everybody said like the Patriot way is so hard, so tough, which it is, and it was obviously, but you pulled out trick plays all the time. Is that because of the players you had, or is it a part of like keeping players like kind of interested and also adding little wrinkles for maybe other people have to deal with?
Yeah, well, I think those plays, Pat, what I always said to Josh, and Josh did a great job of it. Josh McDaniels did a great job of it. We said, look, going into the playoffs, let's get a play that can either score points, so maybe a goal line pass or something on the 2 or 3 yard line, a red area pass, or something that's going to gain a chunk play of yards, 20, 30 yards, something like that. I don't want to work on another run that's going to gain 3 yards. Let's work on something that could really, impact the game. And so, that came up in the Ravens game in 14 where we ran the double pass, we ran a couple of oddball formations. We were down by 2 touchdowns in the third quarter, and we're able to come back and tie it and eventually win the game. So Josh and I always thought about plays that we thought could make a difference in the outcome of the game or could actually score points, get a touchdown instead of a field goal in a close game like that. So, look, Pat, when you say Patriot way, I don't know what that is. I don't know what the Patriot way is. That's kind of a buzzword that everybody else uses. To me, it's about preparation. It's about, being a good teammate, team building, and then performing well under pressure. That's what winning football games is. I don't, the tag that goes with that is really, I don't know. That's a big marketing tool. I don't know what that is. I believe in preparation, performance, discipline, and consistency.